All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna check out its local search and its city search, see if either of them got BSS. And we're back here in the GVC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. And more about that, pinned video, pinned post, home video, wherever, somewhere around here. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So over on the left side here, well, we got FSIC, kind of our graph in white. Over on the left, the highest intent peeps searched on Google, searched on social media, social search for the highest, or for a boudoir photo shoot in their city right now. So we focus on those peeps. We make our videos about BSS. And wherever on the right, the lowest intent peeps, the only way to reach them is interruption ads via Facebook, Instagram. They ain't searching for a boudoir photo shoot in their city right now, and most of them don't even know what boudoir is. So that's what we talk about over on our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. Talk about BLCS, and over there right now, we currently only work with boudoir photographers spending more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. All right, so now into BSS, boudoir search sameness. So this one, a boudoir photographer has either zero or one slots on page 1 of Google. 0 slots is bad, that's a fast death, that means we're on page 2 or deeper, and we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They are one and done. So we're invisible to approximately 80% of the market if we're on page 2, which means we're going to be dying a fast death. One slot on page 1 is not good enough either, because there's 10 organic slots page 1. So that means there's could be 9 other boudoir photographers. Everyone else has one slot. So everyone else looks the same. Everyone else has one slot. Buyers simply approximately 80% of buyers. So we got to click down everyone. Every link on page 1. They're never even going to go to page 2 or anything deeper. But for the 10 that are there, they'll contact everyone, get quotes, price shop everyone, negotiate, stall, delay, blah blah blah. Just annoying way to run a business dealing with this. Now, 0 1 slots on page 1 Google is actually not normal. It's actually a symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes, one, are market saturation, which basically everyone knows about. People get a new iPhone, new phones, new cameras, new gear. They're throwing up their Google My Business profile saying they now for boudoir. They are, throwing up their website saying that for boudoir, competing with us page 1 on Google search, posting in mom groups now from boudoir. This basically lowers margins for everyone, lowers price for everyone, decreases the probability that anyone gets any buyers, because it's more sellers, but we'll photographers for the same number of buyers. Makes it harder for every single seller. And there's a big blast of this COVID, ton of new boudoir photographers enter the market because everyone lost their jobs, had to earn money. Everyone's got a smartphone, super powered camera, so pretty easy kind of to see why that happened. Now, second, actually the biggest thing, which I've seen is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses, is the false belief of page 1 equality. And the false belief of page 1 equality, it's kind of like the automatic belief boudoir photographers have had is that every boudoir photographer gets 0 1 slots page 1 on Google. So if your website ranks there, cool. And maybe you had it there, and somebody else came and ranked their website ranked higher on Google page 1, took you down to push you out to page 2. And boudoir photographers are like, well, yeah, I'm on page 2 now. I guess I gotta hope they delete their website and Google de-indexes them, so that hopefully Google can put me back on page 1. But no, this is 100% a false belief. It's 100% incorrect. And I know this because I myself went from 0 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google to 9 out of 10 slots page 1 on Google in only 10 days using our new methodology we developed. So I know Google will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want to put in the effort to acquire. 100%. I know that is true, which makes the false belief of page 1 equality false. Now, we also know that boudoir photographer with BSS is a disappearing boudoir photographer. That's because, if we got 0 slots page 1 on Google, we're only on page 2 or deeper, we're invisible to approximately 80% of Google searches. Yeah, we're disappearing and fast. Same if we only got 1 slot on page 1, we're still basically invincible, being price shopped to death. We're getting contact form fill outs, but price shopped, people gotta, they gotta save up for it. We know they ain't never buying. And as a result, both these are kind of a signal. Well, BSS, it's the signal. It's what makes us a disappearing boudoir photographer, but BSS itself is the signal that, the check engine light, the warning light that we're a disappearing boudoir photographer, which means our business is on the path itself to disappearing. That's what that means. But we did finally discover a solution. We discovered it because we invented it. So we've discovered that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S cubed methodology. And we invented this, and it works exactly as it says, S cubed methodology. Social search saturation. We're saturating social search with the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords in our city. So we show up there, it's kind of like the snow at the top of the Andes Mountains on the backside, the eastern side in South America. So what happens with that snow is it melts, goes into small streams, small rivers, and eventually across the whole mountain range. It all actually flows to the Amazon River, which is the Amazon River is Google page one. But we got to get our snow up top the mountains first. That's our social search saturation. And so when you rank there, get enough ranking there, then eventually flow onto Google page one. Now, one of the interesting things, this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that can successfully fight back against market saturation and allow boudoir photographer to grow their business even with more boudoir photographers entering the market every single day in a relatively quick time frame. And the only other solution I've seen that has a few of these properties is to actually have a large, well-known brand. That would definitely persist with market saturation. But dude, that takes like 5 to 10 years. That's not relatively quick. We ain't got time anymore. AI is coming to take more people's jobs every single day. We got to get page one domination, page one visibility ASAP. And so, actually, an interesting thing is my estimate is I believe SQ methodology actually executing it increase the probability of having a large, well-known brand by speeds it up by my estimate is 8x, so 8 times faster to achieve that. And imagine if you got a large, well-known brand and you're using SQ methodology. I mean, you're basically untouchable at that point. Now, for example, if SQ methodology successfully grown a business in spite of more and more market saturation or massive market saturation, imagine, let's say there are 1 million boudoir photographers in Fargo, North Dakota. We're one of them. Everyone's got a boudoir photography website trying to rank page one on Google. You know, there's only 10 organic slots for 1 million boudoir photographers, so ultra competitive. And we don't have enough time to build a brand, so our only hope, our only solution is S cubed methodology. And as a result, you know, we realize, hey, man, we got to crank this up to the max. So we do S cubed methodology, we crank it up to the max. And let's say we're getting like we take over the first 300 slots of social search for the highest intent boudoir buyer keywords. Take up those slots, and when as a result, let's say it flows onto Google, and say we're taking the first 300 Google organic slots as well for high intent boudoir buyer search. And what actually happens is Google search is 10 organic slots per page. So dude, we're taking like the first 30 pages of Google. So let's say we do that, and guess what? Anytime any boudoir buyer in our city is searching on social networks or in Google, then what actually happens is we're basically the only one they see across all surfaces. You know, I mean, if they want to find us an organic search result, we're basically the first 300. They got to go page like 31 to basically see any of our competitors. And approximately 80% of Google searches never even hit page 2. They're page 1 only searches. Who the heck's going to page 31? So you can see how powerful this is. So obviously in this situation, whose business is growing? Most likely ours. Whose business is stalling, dying, disappearing? You know, the 999,999 other boudoir photographers who are competing, but no searchers can find them. And so this is what the magic of SQ methodology can enable. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we now have page one visibility. Get our initial benefit, more slots page one on Google. Get our second initial benefit is every new slot we get, we actually kick off a competing boudoir photographer off page one, effectively making them invisible. Now, this is super awesome. A lot of boudoir photographers feel like this is actually their benefit they like the best. Making other boudoir photographers become disappearing boudoir photographers on page 2, maybe on page 3, you know, and eventually those competitors' businesses disappear. And page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us. So this is where the GBC universe recommends hitting 3 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google search. And that's because basically everyone else will be 1 out of 10 slots, so we're going to be dominating all of them, looking totally different from all the others, really catching buyers' eyes because they're seeing our name so much. And if the off rare chance someone else has 2 slots, page 1 on Google, then we're still dominating them. And finally, we know that boudoir photographer with BSV, boudoir search visibility, is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. This is our micro universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by the dual horns of market saturation and the false belief of page one equality. But we now have a solution. We can utilize S-cubed methodology. We achieve page one visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. All right, look at my results here utilizing S-cubed methodology for myself. I went to rank for the term BLCS boudoir and take as much page one slots as possible. So let's see the results I got by exclusively using S-cubed methodology. Let's get organic slot one here, Instagram. That's me. Slot two, me. Slot three, me. Slot four, me. Slot five, me. Slot six, me. Slot seven, me. Slot eight, me. Slot 10, me. And as a result, I went from 0 out of 10 slots, page one Google search, to 9 out of 10 slots, page one Google search, in only 10 days, purely utilizing S-cubed methodology. So these are the results that I got. Now, onto the main event here. We got our Boudoir photography business. Going to check on them and their local search, their city search, page one on Google. Well, we want to see. And actually, I gotta bring these over. So we're going to Carefree, AZ. Yeah, I do remember looking at that. Northeast Phoenix and then Phoenix, Arizona. All right, let's go over here. Boom. All right. Let's see what we got. Boom, we got one. Oh, Scottsdale. Okay, I think that's a part of Phoenix. So boom, got one. Boom, we got two. Perfect. I don't believe that's her. Okay, boom, we got three. Boom, we got four. Boom, we got five. Boom, we got six. Awesome, dude. 6 out of 10. So we overcome. We do not have BSS, and we have achieved the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to see with what photography businesses doing. So for the best chance for themselves. And now, oh, we gotta go to Phoenix actually. Phoenix. All right, so all right, city's always harder to rank for because there's more peeps competing, more keyword momentum. All right, we got one. All right, so we do got BSS for, all right, so we got, we do not have BSS, and we did hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for the local search, and we do not, we got BSS of, for the city search, which city is always harder. Right? There's way more overlapping people trying to rank there. And we did not hit the recommended GBC minimum of 3 on the city search, which is actually normal. I don't know if, unless it's a small city or kind of a small town, I don't know if I've seen anyone hit that yet, or maybe like 1 or 2. Very difficult though. So if you're a boudoir photographer and you've got BSS boudoir search sameness for your own business, you're seeing the market's getting more and more saturated over time, and you feel like you're a disappearing boudoir photographer, or gonna become disappearing because of what we'll talk about in like 10 seconds. And you also see that the page one equality is a false belief, like everyone kind of automatically accepted because there was no like word to describe it, to say, hey, I believe this is true or not true, but now we got a word to describe it. And you're seeing the way AI is creeping in, more and more people being laid off, which, what was the last time that happened? COVID, what happened? Massive influx of boudoir photographers, massive influx, massive supply, all fighting for the same eyeball, approximately the same number of buyers. So it's getting harder and harder for each boudoir photographer that enters the market. And you're saying, okay, it looks like I do need the S-cubed methodology to kind of preempt or prepare myself for AI pushing more boudoir photographers into the market, which means there's going to be more competition for page one. on Google search. But if I can preempt that, get there already, and it's probably already happening right now as we speak, then we can be prepared to not become a disappearing boudoir photographer. We can achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, even though more are probably going to be joining, and achieve boudoir search visibility, and get the extra bonuses on the back end where kind of the more these thematic keyword columns are attached to our brand throughout social, things like that, social search, and the higher chance we show up in, AI overview search here at the top of Google searches, and the higher chance we show up among AI search in general, ChatGPT search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search, Claude search, Perplexity search, whoever. When we have these like thematic keyword pillars entwined with us across all our social channels, ranking on Google, this is where the AIs pull from. So we're increasing the probability to show up in all these searches as a back-end benefit. And we're also noticing that if someone else starts using S-cubed methodology for their boudoir photography business before us in our city, all those front-end benefits, page one Google, kicking competitors off could happen to us. And those back-end benefits, them showing up in AI search instead of us. And then, well, you wouldn't be able to work with me because I'm only working with one person per city. So you'd have to figure out S-cubed methodology on your own and then implement it all on your own. And you'd have to actually meet the work output of the other boudoir photographer using it in conjunction with me and exceed us to catch up and overtake us before we overtake page one on Google, kind of push it as far as we want to. And so you've decided, all right, it's better to simply be a first mover because you need this on your way to becoming the number one boudoir photographer in your city. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when I open up for new patient intake. Right now the hospital's closed. My DMs are closed. Cannot get in even if you wanted to. But shoot me a DM for when I do open up the doors. And we'll see if you qualify. We gotta have some questions. Gotta make sure I'm not working with anyone else in your city. And yeah, we'll see if you qualify.